I guess I could actually talk. I think the microphone's live instead of typing everything. I think it's live. Let's see.
Typing everything.
Yeah, it is. That's the error I was getting. It was a watchdog error, and it kept rebooting, and every time I'd go to load or unload filament, I'd get that watchdog error on the reboot. USB key you're using. Switch back to the other one. It started pretty normal. I didn't try switching USB keys, but one thing I did do was update the firmware. I guess I was a firmware version behind, and so when I was talking to service, we updated the firmware. And then I was getting a thermal error saying that it wasn't reaching the proper temperature, blah, blah, blah. And that's when he had me pull out the multimeter and test the resistance across the hot end thermistor connector. So, and I was getting something like 147 ohms of resistance, which apparently means that the thermistor was blowing. So. Good. Yeah, there was the help. The help was incredible. So I log in with my serial number and order number, and I guess it's not been a year yet since I had it delivered. So I'm sure it was still under warranty. My guess is that for a thermistor, even if it wasn't, they would send it anyways. The funny thing is I just ordered a bunch of parts for the Mini. I'd ordered some filament, and while I was ordering the filament, I was paying shipping anyway. So I ordered like a part cooling fan for the Mini, a cooling fan for the Mini, some extruder gears, a heat block, a hot end block. Anyways, it's kind of funny. It would have been nothing for them to throw a thermistor in there, but hey, who knew that was going to happen? So that's kind of funny when you think about it. Yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, so I buy their filament all the time. I love their filament. Their price is reasonable for the quality you get. And to add a few parts like that every time I order filament, I mean, you were speaking $3 and $4 parts. So to throw them in the shipment for filament, they're extremely light, so it probably doesn't increase my shipping by any more than $1 or $2, so why not? So I think the next order of filament I'm going to throw in some parts for my MK3 over there. So just to throw a few parts in for that, and every time I order filament, and I'll order spare parts, and geez, by the time a year or so, I'll have enough to refit both machines with all new parts if I wanted to. So man, these glasses are dirty. I just saw your comment. Obviously, it's my fault. Yes. Well, the thing's been running solid for better part of a year now. So yeah, it other than I had the little spring screw and the extruder, whatever that's called, the tensioner. I obviously had that set too tight at one point because I ran a benchy here. I was having extrusion issues, so I ran a benchy here and under extruded. So I took the extruder apart, and the little gear that drives the filament was clogged with chewed up filament. So I loosened that tensioner spring off almost to its minimum, I suppose you want to call it, and ran another benchy somewhere here, and it ran perfect. So That was my obviously my issue. This guy right here was the perfect benchy I ran. So yeah, here we can put the benchy on there with the squirrels, so they're not so lonely and they can float away. Let's see. There we go. There those guys go. For the ride of their life. Oh, they're vibrating a little bit here. The boat's going to tip. Come on. You're going to sink. Let me switch. What does this do? This screen. Oh, that's a little different. Yes, I'm not sure if I'm not sure if you've been on one of my streams or not yet, Loyal, but this is the studio I built recently in the basement of my house. I have this sign straight above me. It's a cool LED sign that I brought from my business downtown because my landlord wouldn't let me use it after using it for a year. So it's been sitting collecting dust for about a year and a half. So I thought I'm going to bring it down here just for fun, do a little bit of mock advertising on it. So yeah, and I got some lights and a mic finally set up, and everything's kind of working, and I'm going to start doing some more live broadcasts. So I got a couple printers down over here that I'm going to build live. Tomorrow night I'm probably going to do a live stream on the Anycubic i3 Mega S. It's one of my favorite printers. I have two of them at the office that are running pretty much every day, all day, for this little job that I got going for these contactless COVID keys. I have a customer that's buying hundreds of these off of me, so I have to keep printing them every day to keep up. They run beautifully on those little Anycubics, so I'm going to build one of them tomorrow and then throw in some which ones are these? These are the I don't know what they're called, the silent steppers anyway, so I'll be throwing these silent steppers in and it makes them whisper quiet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build that Anycubic printer, and then I'm going to build it as it came. I'm going to run a test print on it, let everybody see, well, everybody meaning probably all 2 or 3 people that are on the stream, how loud it is as it came, and then I'm going to replace those stepper motors. I think these are 2208s. I don't know the terminology. I'm not that much up on these things yet. And then I'm going to swap out the stepper drivers for these silent ones and basically run another test print, and so people can see the difference that it makes. It's a significant difference. So it's one of my most reliable printers so far. So that's why I decided to buy a few of them when they went on sale on Amazon. I could not turn down the price for Canadian. They were $339 Canadian, which is what, about I don't know, $200 of your money. So that's not bad. Probably end up getting more eventually. And then the other one down there that I have left to build is it's the Creality CR6 SE that I got from the Kickstarter campaign. So haven't opened that up yet, but I don't know if I'm going to build that one or my friend Richard on the First Lair channel. I may have him do it. I may let him do it for his channel. He has a lot more viewers than I do, and he hasn't built one of those on his channel yet. So yeah, he's got a lot of subs. Either that or maybe, I don't know, I'll talk to him about maybe doing a dual build so him and I can both be on there and work on it or something. So we'll see. That may help boost my subs a little bit. So yeah, that'd be interesting. And I'm not overly worried about the subs in that sense, but because I'm doing this more for fun, because I quite enjoy this and it's just a hobby for me. It keeps me out of trouble. So you guys have any exciting weekend plans coming up? Yeah, that's a really good price for that printer. So, and it was a flash sale that was on Amazon, and yeah, so I picked up a few of them at that price. So they've made a few modifications. My original one I've had for about 2 years now, and it's a workhorse. Works really well. Love it. They give you a spare nozzle, complete nozzle with it. They have a daughter board so that you don't have to run all the cables from the nozzle and thermistor right back to the motherboard. You just plug them into the daughter board. The nozzle switch is super easy. And if you have a hot end problem at all, it's a $12 nozzle kit. It's cheaper to swap the nozzle out, but I've only done it once in 2 years, so pretty reliable printer. Hey Maker Viking, how you doing? Putting a giant snowman on the printers. Cool. Probably be a multi-piece one for a giant snowman. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really concerned if I get a lot of subs. I've got a lot of friends that are on here now that I've made through Dan's page and so forth, and I have started a Facebook page for my DeWitt. And I'm not doing this for the money at all, because that's a lot of hard work, and you pretty much got to work at it full time to make any decent money on YouTube. I'm just doing this. Number one, it's out of my comfort zone. I fear public speaking. This is close to public speaking. So you guys aren't literally in front of me, but you are out there in front of me. But the more I've done this, the more of these little broadcasts I do, the easier it gets. So yeah, I'm just doing it for fun. Nothing I'm doing has not been done before on everybody's YouTube channel. And yeah, so I'm just maybe doing it differently. I don't have half the knowledge that some of those guys like Joel and Chris and I can't remember half their names. I just know their channel, Maker's Muse. I don't have half the knowledge those guys. I don't have a quarter of the knowledge those guys do, but I enjoy what I do and I learn as I go, and so yeah, doing this more so just to step out of that comfort zone, get comfortable with talking in front of people, and it is actually helping me in real life, or in the real world. It's helping me in my business. I have a printing and sign company, and we do 3D printing now, of course, and I've been in that for 30 years. And it's helping me in that business and talking to people and the way I can talk to people. So I'm a little more self-confident just by doing this sort of stuff. So yeah, so it's all good. And main thing is I enjoy it and I have fun, and I'm meeting some great people like you guys out there. So oh, it is addicting. 3D printing, I got my first printer was August 2018, so just a couple years now. Back before I knew what I was doing, I had a friend that was into it, and I went to see his setup in his garage, and it was like, wow, this is cool. And I said, man, those have got to cost you thousands of dollars. And he said, actually no, they're quite reasonable now. So I did a little bit of research, and so that wasn't bad. My first printer I bought was a Creality ER-20 Pro, I believe it was. Terrible printer, sorry. I bought two of them because they were relatively inexpensive, and turned out to be terrible printer. But one of them is sitting on the floor back here, just for parts or whatever. But you live and learn, right? And so I'd never done anything in 3D printing before. I've never done any electronics. I've never done any tinkering like I have in the last 2 years since I got into this hobby. But yeah, you're right, it's extremely addicting. So I've bought a few different printers now, so and I'm getting used to, and I like taking them apart, seeing what makes them tick, seeing what's going on, tweaking them, putting modifications on. I've put a couple Chimeras on a couple printers. Yeah, and I quite enjoy it. It's becoming great. So March 2018, yeah, and it is a great community. That's what I love about this too. That makes all the difference when you have a community like this where nobody looks down on you because you're new and you don't know so much. Everybody, it's like, okay, well, let's help you. Let's help you learn. I love it. Just the fact that I got you guys watching this is great, because I mean, I'm very little knowledge on some of these things, and I'm just doing this because I enjoy it, but I just love the community because that's the one thing we all have in common. So Tivo Tornado. Yeah, the modifying's fun. Although I did I'm getting to a point now where I'm being fussy over what printers I do try. That said, I have bought a couple, like I'm sure I'm going to have to do some mods to get this the CR6 SE working a little bit. And I did get in on the flash sale on the Kickstarter on the CR-30, I think, the belt printer. So I'll get that coming in March. I'll be doing a live build on that. Again, all those other big YouTubers have done those builds already, and I'm sure there's going to be more between now and then. So mine is just going to be nothing new, but just different perspective from how it works for me. And yeah, so, and those things I know are going to need some tweaking and stuff, so. You've been printing for 4 months, so you know everything now. Yeah, exactly. That's the way I feel. I think I'm probably touched the surface of what I need to know on these things. Like the motherboards. I know where the plugs go. I can replace stepper motors now just because I watched some YouTube videos. A great resource. But if you ask me how stepper motors work, I know I have to adjust E-steps on extruders and so forth, and that's just a simple math calculation that you can pretty much do in your head. But try and explain to somebody how the stepper motors work versus, anyways, yeah, no. And then the same with oh gosh, what Marlin firmware. I can go in and do basic things in Marlin, but it's over my head for the most part. I can go in, I can activate a BL Touch, I think. I'm having trouble on my CR10S Pro, so my friend Richard from the First Layer is helping me get that going. But yeah, Marlin and some of the software things are just a little bit over my head. Took me a while to get used to the slicing softwares, and again, it's like when I use Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, I know maybe 10% of the power of these things, and slicers, I know just enough in slicers to be dangerous and make a lot of mistakes. So, but I get some prints done, which is what really matters most. Yeah, I agree. The learning is limitless. I love to learn. My brain's a sponge. I just love soaking stuff in, almost to a fault. So, it's exciting. And then I got this big beast in the back here. That's the FlashForge Creator 3. That was my first IDEX printer that I ever purchased, and I quite like it. It was pricey, but it's pretty reliable. It's fast printer. It's printing a job. It's printing these things basically every day, all day for me right now, and it's printing them twice as quick as I could do it on one of my smaller printers. So, oh, that's still coming along good. Yeah. So, and then what's the other printers I have? I have an Ender 5 that I've really heavily modified, including a Hemera direct drive on it, and I've got the Prusa Mark III over here, which I'm not going to modify much. So. Yeah, and I've given I had a couple of my older printers. I used to have an AlphaWise CR30 Pro and one of the CR20 Pros that was still working. I just put it out there on Facebook or on, I forget which group I put it on, and said if anybody wants them, come and pick them up and take them, because I'm just sort of done with them and I don't want to do any more work on them. So yeah, a couple guys came and took them. They were quite appreciative. Gave them something to work on with their kids, which was really cool, and they got them working, and now they have a little printer, and they're having fun with their kids doing 3D printing. So for me, that's worth it to give away a couple $100 printer to somebody who needs it and who can put it to good use. And if they're educating kids on this thing, I think that's a cool thing, because I think 3D printing is, I think we're just on tip of the iceberg as far as where this is going to go, and I think the kids of tomorrow are really gonna. I can't imagine where the technology is going to go from here, but I'm sure it's just beginning. The popularity of this hobby or this business, because yeah. So I can see 3D printers being a household item like microwave ovens are now. So. 2-year degree to become a 3D printing technician, even after all is still learning. Yeah, wow. I didn't even know you could become a 3D printing technician. See, that's how little I know. I didn't know you could get a degree doing that, so that's really cool. Oh, there we go. Playing with my computer here. I'm streaming with software called XSplit. And I can't seem to... Oh, there we go. I was going to say I can't seem to see the chat window and the stream at the same time. But I think I just figured it out. First class in Quebec. Okay, cool. Yeah, and there's like this belt printer that they got coming out. I'm sure somebody's had one of them prior to this or been working on it, but to me that's fascinating. I don't know if you guys saw, I think he tweeted it. Anyways, it was Joel. He printed a sword. Or it looked like that bottom half or top half of a sword. It had to be, I don't know what, 5 feet long. I'm excited to get that and just play with it and do some of that stuff. We have my fiance / wife, Maria. We have a 4.5-year-old child, and he's into the ninja stuff and so forth. So I can't wait to get this printer and print him a couple little play swords and stuff like that. And I want to get him into 3D printing as well. He's a little too young right now to appreciate or understand it, and I'm a little leery because of the hot ends and stuff. But yeah, I can't wait to start teaching him how to do these things and get him interested in it. But I think once I get this one and I can print him a couple toys or a couple swords that he can play with, he'll take a bigger interest in it. So it's going to be fun. I'm excited about that. Ontario, and that's it for Canada. Yeah, I'm out in Alberta, so that's a long way for me. So I will just have to stick to learning everything from YouTube and from all my friends like you guys. So there's a lot of knowledgeable people out there that are generous enough to share their knowledge, which is really cool. So little squirrel's we're almost on his head. We're at his head. That's pretty cool. That's cool. Yeah, those. I'm looking forward to that belt printer. I think they'll probably. I know the first time I saw it streamed, I think it was Joel's stream, and I know they've changed it since then. And I imagine by the time they ship them in March, that they're going to be a little. They're probably going to tweak a few things on it even then. So they have an add-on, which is like a roller assembly that you put on the end for doing those long prints. But I don't know if you really need that if you just have it aiming down towards a table or something. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah, this guy is looking really good. Yeah, this is such an addicting hobby, I tell you. I've done a few practical prints. I've had a few people ask me to design them some pieces specifically for a need, but so far, like most of us, we're just printing all these fun things. I'm sure that everybody has probably done, although I've come across people that have never printed a Benchy, but I'm sure everybody's done their fair share of Benchies as well. So yeah. Oh, my sign company. Okay, our company is called, down in the States, you've heard of my company, no doubt. We used to be called Quick Copy Printing, KWIKKOPY. In Canada, we rebranded. We're just called KKP now. It's a franchise. And I've been in that for, we've been downtown Calgary in our location for about 32 years now. I've been in the printing business all my life, ever since I got out of college. And yeah, so we used to be into offset printing and digital, in your typical black and white and color copies and so forth. Then we switched, about 9 years ago, we switched to a fully digital shop. Got rid of the offset presses, which is great because I used to run them and they were just I couldn't handle the odors and smells anymore. And then about 8 years ago, we decided to get into the wide format portion of the business. So trial and error with different wide format printers, and here we are today. And now we have wide 63-inch latex printers. I have a 65-inch plotter for cutting vinyl. We do signs anywhere up to 4 feet by 8 feet. So on aluminum substrates, coroplast, foam core, styrene, you name it, we can make pretty much any size sign. We do anything short of vehicle wraps. Full vehicle wraps, we don't have a bay to put a car in, number one. I've taken 2 courses from 3M Canada on wrapping vehicles, and it's not easy. I think you either have the talent to do a vehicle wrap or you don't. Because with a vehicle wrap, if you screw one panel up anyhow, your profit in the job is gone, because you have to reprint that panel and hope that the color consistency stays the same. So I leave that to the experts that know what they're doing for that. But yeah, we do. I do a lot of decals. I do a lot of floor signage, wall signage, vehicle decals like magnets and just logos and so forth. And we have customers across the country. People come to us for who we are, because we're basically an owner, hands-on business. And yeah, I've sold product as far away as Jamaica before, believe it or not. I was there on vacation one time, handed one of these drivers a business card, and I ended up doing an order of business cards, shipping them to Jamaica. So that, I would say, that's my farthest customer yet. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to justify charging them shipping in person, so I just ended up shipping them over there. But yeah, no, we're not as busy as I'd like to be right now. Times are really, really tough because of everything that's going on, but we are surviving. We've gone into deep debt because of the virus, but we're lucky to be around. We're a small shop, which I think helps. There's 2 of us that own it, and we have 1 employee that's been with us 12 years now. So between the 3 of us, we produce a lot of work. So yeah, anything, I tell people we do anything from business cards up to banners and large 4 foot by 8 foot signs, outdoor signs, indoor signs, whatever. So it's a great business, and I love it, because there's nothing today. What I do today is different than what I do tomorrow. Life is never boring in this business. So for sure. Yeah, I'm glad we're keeping it going too. I've applied for every possible government loan, every possible grant. I've got rent subsidy that we've gotten, which is fortunate. I've saved about $25,000 in rent, so I'm not going to be paying rent for probably till February. Hopefully maybe not till March, because they're going to keep that program going, they just announced. So we'll see. And it's all based on sales losses over the previous year. And we're down about 50 to 60% over last year's sales. So without these rent subsidies, we're also getting wage subsidy for our 1 employee. So that's covering about half her wages. Yeah, without all these things, we would be sunk. So, and they're offering another loan coming up here soon, another $20,000 loan on top of the 40 that they already gave us, and our provincial government gave us a $5,000 grant. Yeah, so that help is great, and eventually these loan portions have to all be paid back, but they're going to give us, I think they said 5%, and then it's 5 or 6 years to pay it all back. So it's quite fair. I'm happy with our government for what they've done as far as supporting small business through this. So yeah, that's great. And then the fact that our landlord cooperated with the rent relief program, yeah, we're able to keep afloat. We're slow, but we're steadily slow. And yeah, I agree with you, Viking, that things are going to get easier again now that they've got the vaccine in the works. And there's talk that Anchor Viking has a new apartment. We can both move in with him. Yes. I'd love. Yeah, no. Well, depends where he is. You're not there yet yourself. Are you in the United States? Or are you in a nice warm tropical climate somewhere? We're in the middle of winter here right now, and I'm just dreaming of warm travel. I haven't been able to travel in a long time. Oh, Norway. Oh, man. Okay. That's a lot. That's a little ways away for me. Not a tropical place. Last time I went anywhere tropical was, I shouldn't complain, just before the pandemic hit. It was February 2020. I went to Cozumel. I'm a scuba dive instructor, so and our shop, which our shop didn't survive, unfortunately. It was a local scuba diving shop, and they couldn't survive the pandemic because they couldn't get any rent relief where they were. But last trip was in February to Scuba Club Cozumel. It was a trip that they did every year, and I got there just in time, did a week's worth of diving, and got home, and a week after we got home, the lockdown hit. So have not been anywhere since, and I'm hoping, knock on wood, that I can get back out to Cozumel in February or March 2021. But Caribbean, yes. Prior to that, we're probably going to do, every year we go ice diving. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Banff, Alberta. It's a famous national park up here. But there's a lake out there called Lake Minnewanka, and every winter, February or March, depending on the weather and the timing, whole bunch of us get together. We get out there, cut a hole in the ice, put up a big tent, and we teach an ice diving course. So that's a pretty cool adventure, literally and figuratively. So probably do that first. It's nice to do that first and then go on a tropical dive vacation. So rather than the other way around. Oh, squirrel. So you're in the U.S. Loyal, I assume? And non-fam. And I'm not sure where you're from, non-fam. The U.S.? There's people from all over the world that come on these groups, and I love it. Oh, Quebec, that's right, you told me about school there. Washington State, okay. A ranch on top of a mountain, so we have the snow, and we get around 20 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Okay, so you're pretty much, I think you're close to what our climate is, because we're 20 Fahrenheit. We were minus 11 today, Celsius. So it's probably close to what your temperature was there today. We've had a couple good snowfalls so far this year, but it's been mild. It got warmer actually as the day came on today, but we were cold, but with the sun out and windy, and it takes care of all the snow. So it hasn't been a bad fall so far this year. The coldest we've got so far is about minus 20 Celsius. So but I think down there in Washington State you get pretty close to similar kind of winter that we would get here, but on top of a mountain too, so you probably get some pretty significant snowfalls now and again, I would imagine. That's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, I think Washington State is just south of us, because directly south of us is Montana. And then, yeah. And then, yeah, west of, so Washington State is west of Montana. Is that right? I think you're below, just below British Columbia. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we're January, February, we get really, really nasty cold spells. And if the snow's going to hit, that's when it's going to hit us hard. But 5 hours west of Montana border. Okay, yeah. So you're just below British Columbia. So you're, and I'm Calgary. We're about 3 hours north of the Montana border. I forget the name of the border where it's crossing, but there's a border. I go down to Waterton Lakes National Park a lot of times, and Waterton Lakes is sort of the Canadian version of Glacier National Park. So the lakes that we swim in, actually, if I were to get underwater and have enough air, I could theoretically scuba dive into the United States, but that's a long way. So, and then the border's just around Waterton National Park is where the border to Montana is. And so, yeah, that's only, yeah, you're not probably a 10-hour drive to Washington State from here, something like that. I drove down there once to, oh yeah, Spokane is in Washington, that's right. I drove from Calgary once to the Spokane Opera House to go to a concert many, many years ago. It was a nice drive. I actually quite enjoyed it. So it was a reasonable drive. So it's not really that far. I think it was 5-6 hour, no, maybe a 9-hour drive, something like that. 10 hours from there to Calgary. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I drive. We drive to Vancouver, and we'll go out diving in BC sometimes on the island and Vancouver Island, and it's a good 12, 14, 15-hour drive to get out there. And when you do that in the winter through the mountains, it can be fun, to say the least. So, yeah, but a 10-hour drive is nothing. Especially in the summer, driving down that way through the mountains in the summertime is just, it's gorgeous. I love that. I love driving out west in the summertime too, so. Yeah, Vancouver's beautiful. We took a vacation out there last year, and yeah, it was great. We have a few friends and relatives out that way. We stayed at a Holiday Inn in Burnaby one time, and where they had a pool, on a rooftop pool, and it was pretty cool. Went and saw the Vancouver Aquarium. But the scuba diving out west, my goodness, it's you guys have all heard of Jacques Cousteau, but back in his day, he used to say that the BC, diving off the BC coast, is some of the best cold water diving in the world, and wow, and they got some incredible wrecks out there. And yeah, I gotta say that some of my most memorable dives have been out on the west coast off of BC, and some of the wrecks, the SS Saskatchewan, and there's quite a few wrecks out there. But the one disappointment, man, they're known also out there for their GPO, their giant Pacific octopus. I've got a lot of dive friends that have been out there, and I've actually had really cool encounters with those octopus, and I've yet to see a giant Pacific octopus. And I've done probably 80 or 90 dives out on the west coast, but just not meant to be at this point in time yet. So it's different kind of diving in the Northwest out that way. It's cold water diving. In the Caribbean I can dive in shorts and a t-shirt, and with little weight, obviously, because you don't have very much on other than your dive gear. But yeah, out in the west coast BC, Northwest United States, and up in those areas, it is a little more difficult diving. We wear dry suits, and of course with the dry suit, underneath the dry suit you got your undergarments. And the more you're wearing as far as undergarments and dry suit, the more buoyant you are, the more weight you need. So like, I dive with about 14 pounds in the Caribbean, and I dive. And when I'm out west diving in the cold water with a dry suit, I need about 28 pounds, 28 to 30 pounds of lead on top of the gear. So it's definitely not for everybody. Diving is my physical activity, basically. I'm in the off season a little bit right now, but when we're doing a lot of it, it is a lot of physical exercise. And yeah, it basically teaches you a lot about yourself, because there's a lot of things I didn't think I could do, and when you push yourself to do them, it is amazing. But you know, you've got to keep in mind all that equipment, all that gear you're wearing, all that weight, and then at the same time, you've got to remember all your safety. So you definitely don't start off diving like that. But I did all my training in cold water, and which I'm glad I did, because I've seen a lot of people come up here that got certified in tropical conditions, and they come up here and want to get dry suit certified in cold water, and a lot of people struggle with that. They have a hard time with the amount of weight they have to wear. They have a hard time with the cold. So especially the ice diving, there's been a few people that couldn't handle the cold with the ice diving. Oh, there's a mine. What's that mine called, Non-Fam? I've heard of that. It's an abandoned mine. That's a popular diving place. $360 feet, yeah. Yeah, diving's not for everybody. I kind of took naturally to it. I've been diving for 5.5 years now, and I didn't think I would ever want to become an instructor. I just got certified. Thought, okay, I'll take my advanced course. That's cool. I'll do a few different courses, rescue course, wreck diving, blah. They have all these specialties you can do. Then somebody said, well, you've got all these dives under your belt. You've got enough. Why don't you try for your dive master? And I said, okay. So, I mean, to become a dive master, you have to perform certain skills. You have to do certain swim tests in certain times and stuff. So finished all that, and then it was like, well, why don't you try for assistant instructor? It was like, okay, and you go through that, and then of course I ended up going and doing my instructor course. And that was pretty demanding and challenging as well, but again, very rewarding. So, and that's sort of where I'm at now. But since our dive shop closed due to COVID, I haven't done a lot of teaching. But I get in the water whenever I can. So hopefully next year we'll see if something comes up around here. If there's a couple other dive shops, I could always go teach with them. But I really enjoyed the people that I was working with out of my old dive shop. So we'll see what happens. But it's like riding a bike. You never really lose it. So, but yeah, it can be intimidating diving, because you're basically putting your life in the hands of your equipment. So, yeah, there's some people are really nervous. Some of the skills you have to do when you take diving is. And it's funny how it is. One of the skills that people have the hardest time with is removing their mask underwater. You have to remove your mask and be able to put it back on and clear it. And that's the one thing that a lot of people can't do. Next to equalizing your ears, a lot of people just can't do it. Period, because they can't equalize their ears. And if you can't equalize, then you just can't dive. There's no question about it. But yeah, it's not for everybody. And then I have other friends that are like just not interested in sticking their head underwater, period. So, okay, yeah, and that's how I started. I snorkeled all my life, and I loved it. And then I did a Discover Scuba in Mexico, on a vacation, and it was like, wow, instant love. And I said, this is what I want to do. So. But then I got into 3D printing, and that's taking up all my time now. So, but then again, I've also 3D printed some little additions for dive gear. So these two things can go hand in hand. But gotta sort of find a good balance there between the two of them. So. Oh, good. My test print's almost done, and it looks like that printer is printing beautifully now. So you guys, it's got to be, for you Maker Viking, it's got to be late. And I know for you Loyal, you're an hour behind me, so you are probably 10:30 right now. You've never swam in the ocean, but you put your hands and feet in the Pacific, Atlantic, and Gulf of Mexico. There are things that can eat you in the water. Oh, that's funny. You know, one of the comments I get all the time is, what about the sharks? What about the, like the big fish? And man, I would do anything to come in close contact with a shark. I've seen a few sharks in the water before, and I've tried to, yeah, you're an hour behind me. I've tried to get closer to them to get pictures. They want nothing to do with you. They just, now of course there are certain parts of the world where they do cage diving for great white sharks. And yeah, you don't want to be in the water when there's a whole slew of those great white sharks around. And sometimes with the bull sharks, if it's mating season, you got to be careful around bull sharks as well. But if the key thing, if you see a shark, or if there's an aggressive shark, or there's a bunch of them, you basically want to stay below them and just let them go on their way. But the coolest thing that I've ever seen were these giant manta rays. They're fascinating, and the spotted eagle rays, and there's these fish, and I'm trying to remember what they're called, but they are massive. I mean, like this wide and probably 5 or 6 feet. I think they're groupers. I think they're big groupers. But I've come across a few scary-looking critters in the ocean that it's like, whoa, like wolf eels. Moray eels and wolf eels that are basically, you go near them and they kind of like show their teeth and come out at you. But it's the old thing, don't touch them and they're not going to touch you. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, no, there's too many things in there that are gonna come after me. So I get a chuckle out of that. But the octopus, the giant Pacific octopus, one of my friends, he's a course instructor, and he actually had an encounter where a giant Pacific octopus came up and wrapped around his arm and actually had its tentacle on his regulator. And it's like, oh boy. So, and of course you lose your regulator. Well, you got your octo, but you just basically have to let the octopus do his thing, explore you, discover what you're doing, and then they eventually just let go. And then I've heard stories of a few people that lost their cameras to octopus because they grab it out of your hand and they're gone. So, pretty cool. Mountain lions and bears, you don't pay them any attention? No, and they're not going to bother you, right? I mean, that's just it. If you leave them alone, they leave you alone. So no sharks in Norway, no. None here in Canada either. Yeah, 7:30 a.m. You haven't gone to sleep yet? Very little dangerous animals in Norway. Wow, yeah. We have bears out here in the mountains. Like, we're close. I'm an hour east of the Rocky Mountains. So we have grizzly bears, we have black bears, we have... there's actually been some sightings of bobcats in the city. I'm playing Diablo 3 all night. REM. Too much stress and too little sleep for a while. Ah, that's too bad. Sorry to hear that. But, yeah, the same thing out here. If you, there's been a few there's bear attacks. I mean, things happen, right? You're hiking in the mountains, you come across a cub. Mama's going to be nearby, right? So don't go chasing them to get a picture. Just leave it, you know. So too many tourists out here. We get a lot of tourists out here that don't respect the wildlife, and they end up getting in trouble. I mean, if you go up to an elk in rutting season, you're asking for trouble, and it happens. I mean, it's like out in Ontario in the east. I think even in Quebec, they have moose, and I don't know if you've ever seen a moose in real life, but they are massive. They're huge, and you don't want to piss a moose off, and you don't want to get between a moose and its offspring. So, but the problem is, you get the tourists that see these animals on the side of the road, and they pull over, grab their cameras, and run out to try and get a picture, and they get chased by these animals, and it's like, well, hey, it is what it is. I haven't played Diablo. Is that a like a PlayStation thing? Or is that like an online thing? Yay! Squirrel's going to be done any second. Moose in the mountains, really? Wow, I imagine. I didn't think you'd see moose up in the mountains. That's really cool. PlayStation, okay, on a PC. They just released. I think I'm not a big gamer. But didn't they just release a PlayStation 5 or something like that? And I think it's stupid expensive. I have a friend out here that does some gaming streams. Yeah, I want to get a PlayStation or something for our little guy one time, but we don't want him playing any of them violent games at his age. Off to watch The Mandalorian. Yeah, moose are huge. Well, if you're off, thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, thanks Laurel. I really appreciate you popping in, and I'll be streaming again tomorrow night if I don't interfere with anybody. I'm going to be building a printer, and I'm going to try and do this on a more regular basis. So I appreciate you guys dropping in. You guys are welcome anytime to drop into my stream. So it's nice to have the company, and it's really nice chatting with you guys. You guys have a wonderful night. I'll end this stream now, and yeah, look at that, just in time, and the little squirrel just finished, and it looks really good. So thanks, guys. You have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you later. Oh, hang on, Viking. Which printer? Talk to you later, Loyal. Take care. Maker Viking, this is the the Eryone ER-20. Let me get this print off of here. It's the Eryone ER-20. It's one of their newer ones. Here, let me switch this camera here. Okay, good night, non-fam. Appreciate you staying up. Get a good sleep. There's the, come on, focus. There's Mr. Squirrel. He's just a test print that's on this, that was on the card. And he's not too bad at all. This stupid camera doesn't want to focus too well. And he turned out nice. I had to adjust the belts on this. I was having a few little issues, and so I just tightened the belts and played with the extruder spring a little bit. But yeah, this is a decent looking print. Oops. Yep, turned out really well. Which printer will I be building? Tomorrow I'm going to do the... it's not a new printer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one of my favorite printers. It's the Anycubic, and it's not a big build. It's like 6 screws, but it's the Anycubic i3 Mega S. I'm going to put it together as it came. It's still brand new in the box. I have two at my office. It's one of my favorite and most reliable printers. So the i3 Mega S, I'm going to build it and do a test print, level it up. It's a level bed. It doesn't have an auto leveler on it. I'm going to do a test print with it as it is. It's a loud printer because it's got the old stepper drivers in it. So I'll do a test print, basically show how loud it is with the factory stuff in it. And then I'm going to stop it and throw in these 2208 stepper drivers. Basically do almost a little tutorial on how to do these, how to throw them in, you got to reverse the plugs, etc., and then tune these down to 0.85 volts. And then start it up again and do another test print and show the difference with how quiet it's going to be. It's basically whisper quiet with these stepper drivers in it. And the fans are a bit loud though, but I haven't switched any fans out yet, but I don't have any printers in the position where I worry about how loud the fans are, so yeah. But that's what I'm going to do tomorrow night, and the time will just depend on tomorrow night. The first layer usually streams, Richard and God, I'm having a brain fart here, and anyways, the first layer usually streams tomorrow night. Why can't I remember his cohort's name? My goodness, that's awful of me. Yeah, they're streaming, so I don't want to step on his stream. Not that anybody's going to come and watch me instead. I'll be lucky if I get 4 people watching tomorrow night, because I have one friend in Ontario that's going to watch. But yeah, so hopefully tomorrow, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock, depending on what time he streams. And then also I got to see if anybody else is streaming. Because I know there's a certain unwritten etiquette that you try not to interfere with other people's streams, but I don't think I'm a threat to anybody's stream by any stretch of the imagination. So, and then probably sometimes the following weekend I'm going to be doing the Creality Creality CR6 SE. And then sometime again in between or later I've got the Repcord Rep Box to build, so. Okay, yeah, I'll do a tweet for sure. I'll tweet that out. I don't have a tweet for DeWitt yet, but I'm going to set up a tweet account for DeWitt. I just have my personal Twitter. I'm just getting into the social media for my DeWitt right now. I just set up a Facebook page a week or so ago. I've got a lot of followers on that one so far. But I will definitely try and get a tweet about this out tomorrow. About the build, and see if anybody wants to come on. That's perfect. I'm going to put a post in the Anycubic Facebook group if anybody wants to come and see that, and I'll also put a post in a couple of the other groups that I'm with, and people want to come out and watch, they can come out and watch. And so yeah, so we'll see what happens. And then I've got I've purchased that some other ones I'm going to be doing down the road. What's that one? Is it Kaiwu? I'll tag you for sure, Mega Viking. I will. I think it's the Kaiwu. Joel did a stream on it. Chris Neary's did a stream on it. But anyways, I got that one on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, whichever one it was. So that's going to be coming to me. Don't know when. And then I got the CR-30, the belt printer. I contributed to that campaign. I'll get that in March, so that's going to be another future video. It just seems like there's a lot of things, like it's really cool that when you spread these things out, that there's actually, I have a lot of content lined up to do down the road, which is really kind of cool. The hard part is I'm itching to get my hands on that CR6 SE to try it. I'm itching to get my Repcord built. So, and the other thing I'm going to do is I have a Palette 2 Pro that I've had for about a year and a bit. I used it once. It was cool. It worked really well. Actually, that's the calibration key tag for the first one I printed. But I haven't used it in about a year and a bit. And so once I build the rep cord, the rep box, I'm going to hook up the Palette Pro S2 and basically, or whatever, the one Palette Pro 2. And I'm going to do a stream on that and basically get the rep cord with the filament coming into the Palette Pro, and then I'll probably do it to Prusa to show how it works with that, and then I'll probably switch it up and maybe do it to the Eryone or another different printer and see. So yeah, I have a lot of content that I want to do coming up, because at first I was thinking, man, what am I going to stream about? And then the more I think about it, it's like, wow, I got a lot of things that I can actually sit here and stream about. And you know what, if people get a little bit out of what I'm doing, great. If they don't, they're going to give me the thumbs down. I don't care. If they want to subscribe, great. If they don't, no loss to me. I'm doing this for my benefit more than anything, just because I enjoy this. And then I want to eventually do some streaming of Fusion 360. I love that software. I'm far from an expert at it, but I'm doing a lot of learning from Lars Christensen from whatever. Anyways, he's the guy that does a lot of the online videos for it. I'm learning a lot from him, so and I'm designing a few things. So I want to go on and just show what I've been doing, and maybe do one stream where I go on, I design something and print it. So yeah, it's easy to find content to stream about. So I'm excited to do that. I'm really enjoying myself with this. Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, when you do, be sure. Yeah, we'll. I love this community because everybody is supportive of everybody else, and I definitely help out and watch and join in on everybody's streams when I can. So yeah, and that's going to be great. Yeah, Fusion 360 is great, isn't it? When I first opened it, the very first time I ever tried it, I'm thinking, okay, I was staring at this screen going, okay, how do I draw something 3D? I had no concept of sketches. Like, I had no concept that, yeah, you have to do a two-dimensional flat plane sketch and then extrude it. I was looking for, okay, I want to draw a box. Where's my 3D tool for a box? But once you get over a few hurdles, and then it sort of then the light bulbs go off, and you go, okay, this is how it works. And now lately, I've been learning about the planes, offset planes, angled planes, plane on a path. It's fascinating, and I love learning software because I tend to naturally pick up on software. But Fusion 360 is so powerful. I'll probably only ever learn 5 or 10% of what it can do, but that's just the 5 or 10% I need to do what I need on these machines. So it's yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've made a lot just in the last, well, since this pandemic happened, in the last, actually, I'd say 4, 5, 6 months, I've met a lot of people, and it's been great. So yeah, so we'll see what happens going forward, and hopefully I can help somebody. If I help one person, you know what, it's all worth it. If I don't help anybody and I'm just helping myself be better at doing this, hey, it's all worth it. So yeah. Well, man, you need to get up or get some sleep, and I need to go to bed and get some sleep. So I am going to close this off, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. And there's a couple more people on there, it looks like. But anyways, I appreciate everybody that hung out with me tonight. I will tweet out tomorrow about what time I'm going to start my live stream tomorrow night. And hopefully I see you guys there. Thank you so much for hanging out. And you guys have a wonderful sleep, and or whatever you're going to do. Have a wonderful Saturday. I'm trying to think if it's Saturday for you tomorrow. It's probably Saturday morning already for you. So yeah, good talking with you too, Maker Viking. I appreciate it. And this is DeWitt Tim, and remember, do what I'm thinking and do what it takes. And listen, good night, everybody. Thank you for joining in tonight, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you're new on here and you did enjoy or get anything out of this, get a chuckle, just hit that, I don't even know which direction I'm pointing in now, but hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I'll make some good content in the future that you guys can get something out of and enjoy. So everybody have a good night for now. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy, and we'll talk to y'all later.